Hello, everybody. This is Baron the Bear, and this is going to be a short guide on the basics of troops to understand what troops counter what other troops, and the basic functions of why you would use certain troops in regards to attacks. So, basically, the easiest way to understand troops in this game is it's basically like a rock, papers, and scissors concept, excluding siege, which is a totally different type of troop altogether, other than the melee, the cavalry, and the ranged. Okay, so basically, for melee, cavalry, and range, melee will counter the cavalry. Cavalry will counter the ranged, and range will counter the melee. So that's how you understand that in regards. Now, in the beginning of when you first start the game, keep in mind, it's going to be a new server. People aren't going to really have one troop armies in the beginning. Okay, so it's really not going to matter too much if you focus on one troop or worry about countering troops, unless it's a big spender. If you come across a big spender, most likely you're not going to have a chance anyway, so that doesn't really matter either. So basically, what you need to understand is it's not going to be really relevant to worry about the counters, okay? What's crucial in the beginning of the game is to focus on trying to get as highest tier troops as you can possible. Because the stronger your troops are, no matter what unit you choose, the better they're going to be. Okay, fighting monsters, fighting other players, whatever. It's always going to be the best. So, in regards to focusing on your troops and how to increase their strength, it's recommended to upgrade your castle as quickly as possible. Because what that's going to enable you to do is it's going to enable you to level up your academy as quickly as possible. And I'll go into research. Go to your combat skills. Now, as far as your agricultural type of skills, resource gathering, in the beginning, these few here, don't worry about these too much because you're going to get those skills. That research is going to get given to you by exploring the map in the Fog of War, and you'll get free research for those. Okay, so if you're going to do any research right off the bat, focus only on your military. Okay, now what you want to do is, I haven't really paid too much because it's the holidays, but you want to get your combat precision, riding, and siege to 3, 5. What that will enable you to do is to unlock your war bear, your archer, your avian rider, and your stone golem, the tier troops. And you need to have a academy level 8. So right off the bat in the beginning of the game, if you want to unlock T2 troops as quickly as possible, you got to level up your castle to level 8 and your academy at level 8. And then your combat level. Research to all these are 3, and then you can unlock these. What I would recommend is to get these all at 3, and then get these all at 1 as quickly as possible so you can start training T2. Okay, in regards to the troops, I explained a little bit about how at the beginning of the game it's not going to matter to focus on which type of troop maxing out one type of troop, because it's going to be later in game. Now, as far as siege, in regards to siege, these troops here, they're basically going to be what you're going to use for farming. Okay, so you always want to keep these constantly training troops. All right, the more siege you get, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to have enough siege to be able to mine a full mine with just siege. Okay, that's the important thing. You want to do that and use your siege for mining resources, because it enables you, if you want to defend your base without being shielded, it enables you to keep all your range, melee, and cavalry units at your base to help defend. So remember that. Siege is basically for farming. Now, that's not to say you can't use it for attacking purposes, but it will do damage to the sentry towers, okay? But it's not really crucial. I think the best way during attacks, on an open field, never use siege. It's gonna be useless. On a city, though, it can be an advantage, because the more siege you have in the army, the more resources you're going to be able to plunder from that city. Now, the issue is if they got siege troops out on a tile and all their main troops are still back in their base, your siege is going to get wiped out. So there are some strategies. So I'll explain what I would recommend the best way if you're going to use siege to attack cities. If you're in an alliance and you got an alliance rally set up and they're going to a base, maybe it's an inactive player, they quit the game, but they got a lot of resources or whatnot. You can put, on average, they recommend in the army, they recommend 30% to 40% siege. Okay, but if they have troops at their base still, I would recommend either not having any siege in the beginning, or at the low end of a percentage, maybe even only a 20% or 30% siege. But be prepared, you might lose some siege. So, it's not always a good idea to lose your farming troops. So the best strategy I would recommend is, if you're going to want to use siege for plundering cities, is wait until the first march or 2 marches of rallies that you send to that enemy, that your alliance sends, until all their troops are either all wounded or killed. Then, once you know that it's safe to attack that base, because they don't have any troops, and they still have a bunch of resources, then what you can do is just send siege, full army of siege. As long as they're not in an alliance, no one's reinforcing them, send full siege out, and you'll get even more resources. That's a good time, when that's happening, when you start to see your alliance just bombing someone, just constantly attacking. Then send that siege out, because you'll be able to get as much resources as possible until all the resources are gone. So, but mainly siege, though, is mainly for farming purposes. So keep that in mind. I'll recap once again so everyone can fully understand. Melee counters cavalry. Cavalry counters range. And range counters melee. So that's the basics as far as combat is concerned. And the focus should be in training as much troop as possible, because you're going to need lots of resources. And the more troops you have in the beginning, you can go out and get on tiles and farm resources a lot faster in the beginning of the game. So always keep training up if you have the resources. And then once you get enough siege, you can just start using them to do your farming and keep your other troops either, attacking monsters with the other troops, or keeping them at your base when you're offline. So I hope this helped anyone that didn't know, the concept was, and certain tips on fighting and what the units did. This is Baron the Bear, and if you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe for future content, and I'll talk to you guys later.